Hello there everyone and welcome back. Try as I might with the Imperial Navy to get a little bit of diversity, we at least had some intense matches, so it's never really a bad thing. But I really would have liked for our newer players, at least those that are trying to learn the Imperial Navy, to at least give them a bit more diversity, because Necrons, you need to stagger your torpedoes to deal with their star pulse generator. Tyranids, you basically just use your torpedoes to kind of pinpoint where they are, and Corsairs, Eldari in general, you have to be very aware of the map and listening for audio cues. That is probably the most difficult type of matchup to kind of pin down and figure out. But I at least do have a good library of matches against Eldari and all these factions, especially with Imperial Navy. It's just a matter of finding them in my ever-growing library of matches that I did for the video series. So it's there. I just wish you luck trying to find them, because they're all over the place, especially when I'm doing multiple matches an episode, which makes it all that more problematic trying to hunt them down. But we're going to move on over to the Mechanicus, and while their ships are almost carbon copies of the Imperial Navy, due to the fact that they have a little more upgrades, different stats, and just a different battleship altogether, never mind, their playstyle is drastically different from that of the Imperial Navy. Sure, in the tabletop, you had the option to switch out the Novacans for torpedoes and kind of play a very similar type of game as Imperial Navy, but when you factor in they're more likely to break for Armada 2, their lower crew complement, and of course just how much more expensive these ships are, considering that all these cruisers have a lance turret on top of them. You don't really have that hit point pool to even allow for the additional durability that the Imperial Navy has. And never mind the ramming spurs these ships lack as well, which honestly, there were no ramming spurs I believe in the tabletop game, at least by default for the Imperial Navy. So if it was ever an option to customize these ships a little bit further, like how I mentioned with the torpedoes and Novacans, they probably could have included a ramming spur. But either way, we have 5 ships to our name, 4 Novacans in this case, and if I want to go with all cruisers, kind of like how I did with the Imperial Navy, we can only fit like 5 Novacans at most. It's another example of what I mean. But, like I said, the playstyle is completely different. Where is the accuracy trait? It's not being very helpful here. Oh, it says on the weapon itself. That explains it. Yeah, they have better accuracy at range, so with the Mechanicus, we are going to just draw this out. Slow down my opponent as much as I can and hopefully just whittle them down. And we'll see how this plays out. Especially if we do suddenly run into those matchups I was hoping to get with the Imperial Navy. Well, this is a matchup I was not expecting. Just going straight into a mirror match. Although, if my opponent's going with 5 cruisers, I should in theory be pretty decent at least dodging the Novacans. It's the Eye of the Omnissiah I'm going to have to be mindful of, since the conflict of interest I'm having here is, do I want to spread out like I normally do, or stay clumped up so that way it's easier to protect my ships from taking hull damage, like I've been doing in previous episodes I've been emphasizing. That is what I'm wondering. How to best approach this. Because what I like to try and do is spread these ships out, so at least that way 2 of my cruisers are able to protect the other ones if my opponent decides to aggressively chase after one, and these are relatively safe while using their proud Novacans to at least slow down my opponent. That may not be as much of a good idea here though, but we'll see what happens. We have easy access to these objectives at least, so that's a start. And without a doubt, disruption overcharge is going to be important for part of that reason as well, since they can pause my shield generation just as well as I can. And do any Colexus Assassin might be nice, but I probably want to gauge... Well, actually, I should be able to detect them decently enough at range anyway. I'm just thinking if I want to swap out Kulex's assassin for at least not putting my own frigates at risk, but their layout is my layout is better than theirs, honestly. If I play defensively, that is.
Transition begun.
So it looks like we're dealing with 5 cruisers, I'm willing to guess here.
Receiving your order.
We will see.
The spirits obey.
And ideally, I don't want these frigates to get sniped quickly, if I can help it.
Optimal course.
And use this gas cloud to maybe conceal myself a bit.
State your order.
The enemy has seized a strategic area. You have seized a strategic
Alright, so that was quick. Maybe that's a battleship in the middle in that case. Well, if there's a battleship, that probably means they have no frigates then.
To serve the Omnissiah.
So if that's true, let's try and abuse it.
Engage ancient red lines.
Because again, I have a gas cloud here for some easy damage. It's big enough to allow me to maneuver myself that my opponent won't have an easy way to know where I am for Nova cans. And I can use the asteroid belt to help deflect some shots too. But just to be safe, let's try and maneuver this a bit. At least grab some points as a preparation. As a second plan. So I'm not going to reveal them there. Or actually, they're just going to pass each other.
State your order. Rouse the engines.
So armor-piercing ammo.
Machine spirit appeased.
So that's a big threat there.
We are ready to serve. To serve the Omnissiah. Engage ancient red lines.
So I should be able to boost out of this in time.
To serve the Omnissiah. Receiving your order.
Alright.
The spirits obey. State your order. Thruster routines active. Machine spirit appeased.
That's almost all the shots there.
Engage engine red lines.
Although I do have to keep my IM gains separate.
Your order.
So that's a bit of a burden there.
Power to retro propulsion.
Not much of one because I can use the battleship to help some.
Serve.
Although the one thing that annoys me most is the lances. Okay, I can see the lances now. At least to an limited extent.
Calculating vectors. State your order.
So just keep doing the shots there. Try and minimize what damage we can.
Battle protocols engaged. Calculating vectors.
They're firing on me, aren't they?
Thruster routines active. Machine spirit appeased. Transition begun. With matchless efficiency.
So that's gonna get out. Let's try. I did take a lot of damage, but hopefully I can make it work for me.
Optimal course set. We are ready to serve.
And just try. Let's see, you're gonna get caught in that, but you're also too close for Nova cans.
Power to retro propulsion. To serve the Omnissiah. Reroute power to retro propulsion. Machine
Alright.
spirit appeased.
Do what damage you can.
Engage engine red
You're
lines.
sadly gonna take a lot of damage, but
Thruster routines active.
this could work for us. I'm doing a terrible job with this one ship, sadly.
Calculating vectors.
And you should boost out fine.
Does not compute.
I want you to I don't know why you're having a hard time making that thing break, but thank you.
Teleportarium vectors calculated. engines to fury.
The damage we're doing is really nice so far. We just now gotta clean up.
Weapons calibrated. Starhawks engaging.
Regenerate the shields.
Enhance rotational drift.
Finish them off.
Appeased.
Although they did rally, so we still need to kill off this one and back.
Tools of battle. Engaging drive.
And I can dodge this easily enough.
Energize vectored thrust.
I was hoping I could dodge it, but
The engines.
that works out well for me. They burnt a lot of their combustion gauge.
The spirits obey.
And that's only a stasis bomb.
Omnissiah.
And you're about to break.
Reroute power to retro propulsion.
Sadly, my positioning's not that great.
Efficiency. Reroute power to retro propulsion.
I repaired for no...
Receiving your
I repaired without reason, or no need to, rather.
We are ready to serve.
You have accumulated 25%.
And actually,
of strategic
let's get everything out. I can take a little bit of hit here. Maybe not too much more.
Full protocols engaged.
Because that should burn to death. Just get in the asteroid belt and
To retro
keep yourself alive.
severe damage to the corrupted machine.
Ah,
Transition begun.
we are not out of it yet, sadly.
Not compute.
The mutiny seals the deal, and of course me doing a bad job controlling this.
Rouse the engines to fury.
Well, that's convenient.
The engines. To serve the Omnissiah.
Do I have any more? Okay, I have more Nova cans. Oh, we actually won. That I was not expecting. Did my opponent concede? What the hell happened there? I still had a Nova cannon though,
50%.
and their engines were currently disabled, but if I had kept that thing burning retros in the asteroid belt, I probably could have had that be cleanup for me. It would have took them forever to get to me, and again I had one Nova can behind them to at least do some serious damage, but that had a serious risk of me just losing it just because of the mutiny on my flagship. That was a little unfortunate. It was a really good start, I want to say. I did an absurd amount of damage to all their ships. It's just, of course, was all spread out, which made it a lot more complicated. Okay, orcs. So where the hell was this when I was trying with Imperial Navy, dang it? I even specifically said that I wanted some diversity in my matchups last episode, and here they all come when I decide to switch over to another damn faction. Although orcs is still a terrifying matchup here. Again, I don't have the means to fight them head on as much anymore due to my lower hit point pool. Never mind how easy their boarding can just cripple me outright too, but with some really good maelstroms, or not maelstroms, but Omnissiah and all those effects, I can still do a lot of hurt to them. It's just again a question, do I? Well, I'm probably going to be boosting a little bit maybe, especially when I'm running away. I would like to grab the points at least to get some kind of momentum. I don't think it's going to play out that much. I don't think it's going to play to what I'm thinking though, so let's just focus on the one and go from there. I was wondering for a brief moment if I want Disruption Overcharge, but they still have 200 hit points as shields. Oh god. This is like I want to almost say this is the all battleships. Xavier, I'm pretty certain I played you before, so there's something going on that I'm not privy to.
State your order.
When I see this many ships face off against orcs, I immediately think the battleships with the carriers. And it's possible, and with that said, I was kind of wondering if they're going to wait until they go into gas cloud to kind of hide them launching their fighters unless I'm specifically listening for it. But so far we look okay. This may not be a very interesting match. This may not.
Has seized a strategic area.
Since if I can effectively keep distance from them, then they're never going to do any damage to me. Especially when it's very unlikely with only 4 ships that they can surround me the best. Well, I kind of predicted that.
Optimal course set.
You have seized a strategic area.
Alright, so we're just going to hide in the asteroid belt, hide in the gas cloud.
Reroute power to
And just make this easy. Okay, for some reason I thought they were actually going after my ships there, but
state your order.
the fighters live at least, so there's that. They were just using it
You have
defensively.
seized a strategic area.
We are ready to serve.
I just made that as a precaution in case they launch all their fighters, because keep in mind, the reason the orc fighters are dangerous is because they do point defense damage.
Propulsion.
They do damage to the hull of my ships.
Receiving your order. Reroute power
Yeah,
to
just let them
propulsion.
both turn.
To serve the Omnissiah.
Although this is embarrassing.
Calculating vectors.
What I want to do is just hide them and disengage the fighters. Because I already knew this was coming.
Enhance rotational drift.
The enemy has seized a
And
strategic
now-
area.
Receiving
Alright.
order.
So I guess it's not going to work out to my liking.
Protocols active. We are
I
ready
do
to
have
serve.
means to deal with this.
Rouse the engines. Machine spirit.
Oh, and it actually worked. They went after the Endeavor, surprisingly.
Reroute power to retro propulsion.
Alright, so just kill the fighter squadrons then.
With matchless efficiency. State
A
your
bit
order.
messy, I won't lie, but
Transition begun.
considering the main source of damage,
Calculating vectors.
it's just trying to murder my ships with fighters.
To serve
Although
the
I kind
Omnissiah.
of could have done that a little bit better, I suppose. By actually aiming right on the ship.
Spirits obey. Machine spirit appeased.
So I'm kind of overthinking this a tiny bit, I guess.
The spirits obey. Receiving your order.
Alright.
Reroute power.
Fighters have been deflected again. I am going to be committing to a bit of an engagement, I think.
Weapons calibrated. Optimal
Actually, I have
course set.
Novacan, so let's actually use that. My head is all sorts of thrown off because I messed up my own maneuver a bit,
Efficiency.
trying to evade, but I do have a Colexus Assassin for when these ships are crippled.
Revere the Omnissiah. Engaging drive.
Now, destroy the deck on that.
State your order. Engage ancient red lines.
Now you have to burn your rally for this.
Omnissiah.
And even then it'll just burn to death quite a bit.
Routines active. State your order. Transition begun. We are ready to serve.
Alright, turn the prow to engage.
Reroute power to retro propulsion.
And now you burnt up our combustion gauge, alas.
You have seized a strategic area.
But we have more Novacans to help in this.
Receiving your order.
You have accumulated 25% of strategic points.
I hope I prioritize. Yeah, I did prioritize the deck. Okay.
Thruster routines active. Engage engine red
Now, I may not have ramming spurs, but if you're going to turn your side to me,
Collision protocols.
I will happily take advantage of this.
Machine spirit appeased.
There, everything break for me.
Does not compute. Reroute power to retro propulsion.
Needless to say, this is a bit of a weird match, but
Reroute power to retro propulsion.
especially with a bit of my own misplays, but I hope this demonstrates the one key thing I keep cramming into, or keep emphasizing.
Your order.
Why I feel like carrier ships do not work all that great. Even,
Transition successful.
yeah, with a good gas cloud, good asteroid belt placement,
50%.
they basically did almost nothing there. Despite how terribly I feel like I hid my ships.
Ready to serve.
Although, if they went after the battleship, either through not knowing which one was actually the battleship, with that said, then maybe that would have been a lot more painful, but even then,
Appeased.
the Endeavor is actually a good deterrent. Since I can launch my fighters, sure, waste the charge, but
Machine
with the
spirit
point defense, the
appeased.
brace for impact, and just stalling in general, those fighters are not going to do a whole lot of damage. I just don't know what to make of that fleet. Because it is kind of complete opposite to what you're used to with orcs. Just a little bit. Oh, they also had the point defense do damage too, so that's probably part of the reasoning. I just don't know if these defense turrets actually go through the shields, but that may have something to do with the strategy. It might. I'm just not entirely certain. But yeah, I consider that a successful deflection of fighters, and I was specifically watching for it all that time. Now we're going to face off against Xavier again, I suppose. I honestly can't remember what the fleet was with Chaos. I just recognize the name from the portrait, or at least the player, that I faced them in Chaos before. Ah well. I was excited at first because I had an Eldari opponent and they just left. I'm not going to get my match I wanted, or at least a matchup against Eldari, although it was the Azioni at that, I believe, so it would have played out a lot differently compared to Corsairs and Drukhari, just because the Azioni do not rely on stealth tactics. They are completely visible at all times, essentially, and their frigates and light cruisers are potentially some of the worst in the game. But here, this Chaos match is going to be a fun one. It's long range versus long range, although with my heavier prows and even a ramming spur to a limited extent on my flagship, there is still possibility for me to at least do some decent damage in close. Just nowhere near as effective as I would be at range. And is this how I want to do it? This is a situation where I really think I should have extended sensors. So that way, as soon as they get out of gas clouds or forced to maneuver, I can reveal them immediately and start doing damage to them. At least that way, the cover, they can't take advantage of cover, although I am curious though, because I don't really have much spots to hide myself either, if I were to be serious. I'm just wondering how I do this better, because I won't have the Kulex's Assassin to kind of force heavy morale penalty. And it's going to be tricky to hit with Nova Cannons because I need to bring their engines down first. If I want to realistically do damage to them with the Nova Cannon. And slowing them down is not significant on its own. And what exactly do I mean by that? Because they have the range. They can basically engage me at the same time I can engage them, although we have 4 ships. Which makes me wonder if this is just another 3 spoiler fleet.
To serve the Omnissiah.
Actually, let me boost on forward here. Use the gas cloud to conceal myself and
Receiving your order.
get easy access to the objective.
Area.
Easier access, at
The
least.
spirits obey. State your order. Rouse the engines.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
So I did not pay attention to possible fighters being launched, so I can at least launch fighters to see,
State your order.
at least know what I'm up against, I suppose.
Engaging drive.
But with all the gas clouds, it's not like I'm going to be able to keep vision.
We are ready to serve.
So let's just keep tabs on when I can engage them. Ideally, I don't want to fight them in this gas cloud, because if they have a frigate nearby,
Rouse the engines.
that's just going to spot for them, and they are essentially going to get a lot of free damage in.
Optimal course set.
So I need to be careful. I would love to kill a frigate. It opens up opportunities for me to kind of harass and use the map layout to my advantage.
Appeased. Engaging drive. Calculating vectors.
Let's at least slow them down a bit.
The
May not mean a whole lot, because they could just turn a bit.
to serve the Omnissiah. State your order.
He's burnt everything there.
With matchless efficiency.
You have seized a strategic area.
Receiving your order.
You burnt all your combustion gauge. I'm hoping to punish that. I don't know how true that actually is if I were to be serious, but I want to abuse it. Not. Unfortunately, no.
Your order
They just managed to save enough there.
to serve the Omnissiah. Enhance rotational drift. Receiving your
Now let's get this going, because it's going to take critical hit damage right quickly.
active.
It is a triple despoiler fleet, so that's no real surprise.
The spirits obey. Target on screen.
And remember, I should be better at this engagement because of my disruption overcharge.
Reroute power to retro propulsion. Rouse the engines. Receiving your order.
Let them burn everything.
Thruster routines active.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
State your order. Rouse the engines.
So get that out of there, target the flagship,
With matchless efficiency.
and just try and get what damage I can on this ship.
The Omnissiah. Calculating vectors.
Not the best positioning, but it's good hull damage.
Pleased. Engage
And
engine red lines.
stasis bomb, if my point defense are hitting them, then I'm doing good. Just gotta
State your order.
actually punish these ships a bit.
Optimal course set. State your order. Engaging drive.
Right, you get going there. Point defense, do your thing.
We are ready to serve. Reroute power to retro propulsion.
I think my frigate just died, sadly.
Battle
Just keep
protocols
murdering this.
engaged. Receiving your order. Reroute power to retro propulsion. To serve the Omnissiah.
Now, stasis bomb. Kill these quickly.
Thrust.
You have accumulated 25% of strategic.
That's what I like to see.
Interceptors engaging.
Now, I do have...
Transition.
I don't have the Coolexus Assassin, sadly, but
We are ready to serve.
repairs in 30 seconds, so I can't take advantage of this, and I'm too close.
Machine spirit appeased.
Okay, they just conceded. Alright. So the spoilers were thwarted there. Sadly, they were smart enough to not burn all their combustion gauge when I thought I had a window. But that was definitely a fun match. But again, another example of why I don't really like carrier ships all that much, I guess. I wasn't even using brace for impact to kind of emphasize it a tiny bit. Alright, Necron. I don't want to go so far to say as I'm going to be in a really good position here, since 5 cruisers with Nova cannons is really the key number if you want to just demolish Necrons. But since I'm trying to play more conservative and prepare for all matchups, I have the light cruiser in for the support, and I only have 4 Nova cannons in this case. Unless I want to go with like all cruisers, I guess that's a possibility, because what will normally happen here with Mechanicus is you will fire your Nova cannons one at a time, maybe even using the Omnissiah as bait if you feel like they're just going to jump out of the way, and then just pummel the poor ship with the remaining Nova cannons once it burns its only mobility trait. That is definitely a big deal with 5 Nova cannons, because that's like potentially 1,600 points of damage that they almost can't avoid. They can mitigate by moving on along the edge, but they can't really avoid. But it's going to be a different story here, especially if I shoot like a battleship or something that can regenerate its health pretty well. And I want armor piercing ammo, I think, although Culexus is still pretty damn good to complement the morale damage I'll be doing. It's just going to be tricky to destroy the deck, I think, because Nova cannons don't do critical hits for Culexus assassins to do damage.
Matchless efficiency.
Alright. And I don't need to worry about the deck.
We are ready to serve.
So this looks like Mass Recall, and sadly, yeah, less experienced opponent.
The Omnissiah.
So I don't want to try and ruin their day by just obliterating this flagship immediately.
State
Although 2 could play at this game, I guess. We'll fire bolts at each other.
your
See if I care.
with matchless efficiency.
So what do I need to do most is just, if my opponent somehow has mass recall despite what these upgrades suggest, that I want to be spread a little bit.
Receiving your
Tesseract Crypt is definitely a really important skill to have, but
The enemy has seized a strategic
it's
area.
more the Star Pulse Generator upgrade that I don't really think is going to be that effective. And I could just happily boost here.
engines to fury.
Just get ready to dodge the Tesseract Bolt, grab the point, because why not? And get ready to deal
You have
with these
seized a
ships.
strategic area.
Engage ancient red lines.
Alright, 2 ships passing night, let's do that.
Machine spirit appeased.
And watch my combustion gauge.
The spirits obey.
I should be able to easily avoid that.
Receiving your order. State your order. The spirits obey.
Yeah, this should force us,
We are ready
was
to
an
serve.
inertialist drive jump.
Transition begun. To serve the Omnissiah. Reroute power to retro
And this is where the pain begins.
Strategic area.
We'll try not to make this too brutal, but I gotta take advantage of what I got to work with.
optimal course set.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Receiving your order.
Alright, so that's good initial damage there, and so long as I can keep hitting them with Disruption Overcharge, they're not gonna recharge their health.
Transition begun.
Although, let's get these frigates out of the way.
Drift. Optimal course set.
Sadly, that's probably gonna burn to death.
Machine spirit
The sad
appeased.
fact of the matter is there, but
Reroute power to retro propulsion.
just keep hammering away at this thing. If for no other reason to deny its regeneration. Because that's going to play an important part here.
Serve the Omnissiah.
a weird game of dodgeball, I gotta say, with the having to deal with this Tesseract Bolt and my own Cybernetic Orb.
Engaging drive.
And we're getting close enough. Well, this probably will jump me pretty soon, so let's force it to jump, although that should have been Eye of the Omnissiah, I feel.
Thruster routines active. Rouse the engines to fury.
Alright.
Ready to serve. Calculating vectors.
So I am taking hull damage, gotta be mindful of that.
Spirit appeased.
And let's use Eye of the Omnissiah to slow these guys, or at least trick them into jumping.
Course set. We are ready to serve. State your order. Utter the canticles of battle.
The enemy is seizing one of your strategic areas.
Now get this thing. I don't want it to lose its engines at a bad time.
Efficiency.
Ideally.
State your order.
The enemy has
Star Pulse Generator is not all that impressive, especially when I can launch bombers.
Mention red lines. Engaging drive.
Now that's a lot of damage on that ship.
Reroute power to retro
And
propulsion.
Cybernetic Orb did its thing.
To serve the Omnissiah.
And now that its engine's gone, let's actually capitalize on this.
To serve the Omnissiah.
Since there's not much it could do and your flagship's nowhere nearby to force at least even a temporary repair.
10% of strategic points.
Battle protocols engaged.
So let's see.
Receiving your order.
Let's just have this frigate grab points in the meantime, because right now I'm in good shape. Took a lot of hull damage. But let's be mindful of the regeneration of the flagship, though.
Machine spirit appeased.
And I do have fighter bays. I will have them up in a moment.
Routines active.
Well, that was an opportunity for me.
Does not compute. Rouse the engines.
Good thing I didn't ram my own ship, because that could have ended badly.
Power to retro propulsion. Receiving your order.
Now,
The spirits obey.
at least, best of all, that did pause the regeneration. So the flagship's still going to get hammered quite a bit.
Are ready to serve.
And I do have armor pierce ammo, so let's continue this close range engagement.
We are ready to serve. The spirits
Oh no, I don't have armor pierce. Oh no, I decided on the Colexus Assassin, never mind. Silly me. I'm somehow thinking I have like 3 different skills I can utilize, but let's avoid this bolt.
Castellan manifold teleported.
And kill this cruiser as a bonus.
25% of strategic points.
Get out of my way, I'm gonna get sapped for 200 points of damage, curse you.
Retro propulsion. Engage.
Well, this engagement was a failure. I wanted to kill it and ram it, so that way I could avoid the bolt.
Engage Castellan
That was my main priority there, clearly. Not to actually win the game,
to serve the
or at least get that much closer to winning.
Seized a strategic area.
We are ready to serve.
So this will prompt the jump.
Does not compute.
This,
Machine spirits nearing.
it's not perfect, but
Machine
bad time to lose engines, but
rouse the engines.
and shields are not going to come back up in time, so that worked out well for him there. But this is over.
Receiving your order.
The Rad Storm seals the deal.
The enemy has accumulated 50% of strategic points.
Yeah, definitely feel for them. That was not a pleasant fight, but they managed to get an opportunity to regenerate health on the flagship. I don't know how much health, because it's always possibility with the disruption overcharge. Even one little hit will keep it from regenerating its health. And that is such a big factor. The one intended feature of this ability is to keep it from regenerating health. So Necron honestly do want to try and look for windows to disengage for certain periods of time, if attrition is a big concern for him. But that makes it more difficult when I can just turn off the regeneration, especially with the range that I have too. But again, where were these matchups, damn it, when I want them for my Imperial Navy fleet?